Hello students, here I will cover the topic constructors. This topic is mentioned in subject object oriented programming. The code is BMC 202, and this particular content is a part of the it is a part in MCA course in second semester. What is constructor? The topic of the content that is constructor, which that is I am here to discuss about. This particular content, it comes under the programming languages object oriented programming. The first is what is the object, what is the class, and it is a how in programming environment. There are some key terms. One is object and object. If I am talking about any particular particular variable that will contain the information, the variable may be structure, the variable may be union, the variable may be object, the variable may be that will contain any type of data. Means the data will be boolean or float or double or char or integer maybe. So how the particular data is stored in a variable, and this particular variable in the environment of the object oriented programming, the particular data is known as the object. And the particular object belong to a class. For example, in a case in this particular here you can see that is the car, car is a class, and C is a object. The particular object is to be created, and the particular object is to be created and allocated in the main memory through the new operator, through the new keywords, and the object is created, allocated in a main memory. At that time, instantly you can initialize the particular object through the constructor. So the constructor, the constructor, it is used to initialize the object which is created and allocated in main memory through the new operator. Objects are created by using the operator new in statements such as char C is equal to new char semicolon. The following expression invokes a special kind of method known as constructor. This particular method, there is some basic property of constructor have. The name of the constructor is to be same as like the class. First, second is there is no return type of the constructor. If any constructor having the return, maybe it may be int or char or float or double or boolean or void, then the particular constructor is turned into the method which is used in object oriented programming. But the particular a method which does not return anything else, this particular method is known as constructor. So the following expression invokes a special kind of method known as constructor, new car, left and right parenthesis semicolon. Constructor are used to create objects and initialize the instance variables. The constructor are used to initialize the instance variables which is created through the new operators. A constructor has the same name as the class it constructs, has no return type, that is not even void, that is int, char, float, double, boolean and void. That is constructor have no return type. This particular method have no return type, and the name of the constructor must be same as the name of the class. If the class implements does not define any, if the class implementer does not define any constructor, the Java compiler automatically creates a constructor that has no parameters. Means if in the programming environment, if you are creating an object through the new operator, and you are not initialize the particular if you are not initializing the if you are not initialize the object through the constructor in your source code, then the Java compiler automatically initialize the particular object through the constructor. That is, the Java compiler automatically creates a constructor that has no parameter, means that is parameterless constructor will be called through the Java compiler if you are not mentioning any specific constructor at the time of object creation. Constructor may be and often are overloaded, means you can redefine the constructors. If a constructor is a constructor may be different type, means it may be copy constructor, it may be default constructor, it may be parameterized constructor. Some constructor have the 2 parameters, some constructor have the 3 parameters. You can redefine the particular code, a particular constructor code that is in a child class. In a child class, the constructor may be and often are overloaded, means you can execute the you can redefine the constructor in your source code. The almost finished car class, that is here it is I am seeing here the example, that is a class. Car is a class. In the car in a car class, here it is mentioned some private data members, and that is the num liters, horsepower, num doors, year, color, model, make, VIN, vehicle, engine, that is vehicle engine. भाई जो vehicle है, जो कार है, उसका इंजन क्या है, उसको किस वेंडर ने बनाया है, होंडा ने बनाया है कि उसको जो है मारुति ने बनाया है या महिंद्रा ने बनाया है, which vendor that will make the particular car. मॉडल कौन सा है, color, what is the color, what is the what is the manufacturing year, that is how many that is the doors, automatic or semi automatic doors, horsepower, num liters. They are the set of data which is mentioned in a car class. The data is to be all the data in this particular source code. Here you can see that all the data which is declared in a specific car class is private. In Java object programming, there are some public private protected members, and if you are declaring a particular data as a private, then you can use the data which is declared the private in the class within the class. That is, you can access the particular data within the class, because the data is declared as a private in a class. A constructor that accepts all state attributes, public, car, string, VIN, string, color, string, make, string, model, int, numerators, that is constructors. Here you can better understand that here we are using car. Here we are using the car as a constructor, and this constructor having the set of parameters, and all the set of parameters is to be same. That is, all the parameters is to be used when we are declaring the object that belong to the car class, and we can initialize the particular object through the parameterized constructor. So in this scenario, here you can see that car is a parameterized constructor, and the set of parameters you are using it, and one by one all the parameter must be assigned to the particular private data members. A constructor that uses parameterized and default state values. Here you can say that the above is the parameterized constructor, and below you are seeing that there is a default parameterized constructor. In default parameterized constructor, you cannot assign any parameters. You cannot you cannot assign any parameters within the left and right parentheses of the constructors. So, if you are creating an object C1 that belong to the car class, the object C1 will be default initialized through the that is the win 1 2 3 the data of the C1 object, the C1 object having the data that is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, that is win, make means Ford, model means Focus, year means 2011, num liters means 2, horsepower 200, color blue, and num doors 2. That is, these are the set of default values to be given to the particular object that belong that is created at the that is created through the compiler. And in the above source code, here you can see that you can create the object and initialize the object through your values, which through the values which you are mentioning in your source code. That is, the programming is free to send all the information, all the parameterized value, means you can mention the C1, C2, C3, C4, C5 objects through the different parameterized value using the parameterized constructor. So, in the above constructor is known as parameterized constructor, and below constructor is default constructor. That is, using car constructor, public static void main. Here you can see that that is the particular here in this source code, you can better understand that main is a method in which we are creating the object default car, and this default car having the this default car object having the default values, means that is, here you can see that all the different values 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 make Ford, Focus, 2011, 2, 200, blue, and 2. These are the default values. Set this particular values is given to the particular this object default car, because the default constructor maybe is to be called here. Second, that is some other is that is here second object is here you can see that this particular object is to be created, and this particular object is to be created, and the value within the objects there are different type of parameters which we are passing. That is nine that is win, make, model, year, num liters, horsepower, color, num doors. That is, these are the some parameters. Here you can see that this particular object, and you are already creating this particular both are the different object, and through the different object here you can see that in this context you are passing the 1 2 3 4 parameterized parameter. These parameters passing to this particular object, and in this context 1 2 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, that is 8 parameter is to be passed through this particular constructor, and all these 8 parameters is to be assigned through is to be assigned in an object that is dot. So, this is the example. This is example by which we are creating the 3 different objects, and we are assigning the values to different objects through the constructor, means default constructor and parameterized constructor. Parameterized constructor means they are in this situation we are assigning the 4 parameters. In this case, you are assigning the 8 parameters. In some other object creation, in some other cases, the object may be you are passing the only 3 parameter or 6 parameter or 7 parameter, that is you can pass the different parameters. The number of parameter may be different. Next is this constructor. You can when several alternative constructors are written for a class. Several constructor means copy constructor, parameterized constructor and default constructors. When several alternative constructors are written for a class, we reuse code by calling one constructor from another. Means how you can compact your source code. What are the techniques through which you can compact your source code? Means maximum time we are accepting all the techniques by which we can reduce the source code. The called constructor is named, that is this constructor. In this you can better understand through this program, that is here you can say that student is a class in which id and string, they are the two parameters. They are the two data of a student. One is id, second is name. id belong to the integer class, name belong to string class, and the object, if you are creating the object, you can initialize the object through the constructor. First you can first in this situation you can see that we are defining the default constructor, and the default constructor name is student. This is the default constructor. This is default constructor. In this default constructor, you are using this constructor, that is in which you are passing, that is 101 and default. There is one is integer and another is string, and this particular constructor called constructor 2. And in this situation, 101 is to be passed id, 101 assigned to id, and default string is passed to the name. And this particular id means 101 passed to that is this dot id, and this particular name, that is name, the string that have the string that is default. This is we can assign this particular string default to this dot name. That is parameterized constructor called. You can in this example you can see that you are you have called the parameterized default constructor. Within the default constructor you are called the parameterized constructor. In this situation, the parameterized constructor is here it is mentioned as this, and this particular method, this particular constructor, this constructor is called to this special type of constructor, that is constructor 2, and through this we can initialize the object which we have created at the runtime through the new operator. Next is the next content is copy constructor. Another common form of constructor is called a copy constructor. A copy constructor takes a single argument that is the same type as class itself and creates a copy of it. In this situation, copy constructor means you are creating the object, and in this scenario, we assign the data to the particular object through the constructor. But here we are using the terms copy constructor. In the source code you are using, here you can see that the constructor, that is the name is car. Here you can see that the car is a constructor, and we are using in this constructor we are passing the objects. Here other car, it is the object that belong to the same class, means car. In this situation we are initialize the object. We are initialize the object through the object via the parameterized constructor. But in this situation, the parameterized constructor, they have the objects as a parameter. The particular constructor method have the object as a parameter and assign this particular object to the new object which is created recently. So in the source code, here we are using the we are same in the previous slides. Here we are using this constructor. Through this constructor we have assigned we are assigning the data to which is the data which we are assigning the data through the object to the new object which is created recently. This is known as a copy constructor. Better car constructors. In another example, you can see that a constructor that uses parameters and default states value, that is here you can say that it is a you can say that it is a default constructor. It is a parameterized constructors, a constructor that uses parameters and default state values. The one is here you can see that parameterized, other is default. A constructor that accepts all state attributes, means public car, string VIN, string color, string make, string model, and string multi. That is, these are the different type of these are the different type. That is, there are the two. This particular constructor and this particular constructor. These is all. It is same mentioning, and that is it is parameterized constructor, and this is default constructor. It is another example by which we can better understand the parameterized and default constructor. Object creation. Consider the object code that creates the two cars, C1 and C2. Here it is known as the object declaration, and after that object declaration, we can allocate the particular object in a main memory through the new operator, and at the time of object allocation in a main memory, we can assign all the particular parameters to the particular C1 object, all the particular data or the particular parameter to the C2 objects. Here, where are these variables and objects located in memory? Why do we care? That is the objects in memory. We are in this context, we are discussing objects in memory. The following creates two local variables on the stack are C1 and C2. You can see that stack and heap, they are the two in a memory. That is all the particular, you can already you knew that all the different processes have the specific memory in a region of main memory. One is there is some portion. This particular some portion is to be used by the process or thread, and some other, and some the space, the particular space which is reserved, that is maybe the particular space which is reserved for further process, maybe the particular space to be used by the process or thread. So in this situation, you can say that these are the space which is not used, and these are the space that is used. In this situation, there are the two memory, that is the one is heap memory and stack memory. In stack memory, the object is to be created, the particular object C1 and C2 allocated in the main memory, and this particular context it is known as a stack memory. So here C1 C2 contain the memory addresses of these objects, giving us picture of memory shown below. These are known as reference variables. Reference variables which do not contain the memory addresses of any object contain the special null value. The particular C1 object, the particular C1 means reference variable, or in object-oriented programming you can say that the reference, the particular object C1 C2 having the C1 having the particular locations, the particular address, the particular reference. If you are talking about the in object-oriented programming, it is known as a reference. The C1 object having the reference, on that particular reference, you can see that the information is stored, that is 2000 Ford and Explorer. And in the C2 object, the reference is to be we can access the data which is the data 2011 Nissan Titan is to be stored and this particular information, this particular location is to be accessed through the reference, and the reference is to be available through this particular object C2. So C1, C2 have the reference by which we can access the data. The data is to be stored in a heap memory. Here you can better understand the object. You can better understand the picture what is objects in memory. Why we care 1 of 4, that is the C1, C2. Here you can say that C1, C2 both are the objects. Consider the expression C1 is equal to C2. Recall that C1 and C2 contain the addresses of the respective car objects. Since this car object have the different addresses on the heap, C1 is equal to C2 is false because both have the different references. So, because of the both having the different references, that's why C1 is equal to C2. This is known as a false. And the equal to operator determines if the two reference variables refers to the same object. So, how do we compare car for equality? Cars and other object. Car means the class, means car means class, and the objects that belong to this class. C1 and C2 should implement a method named equals. So, C1 dot equals, we are not using C1 is equal to C2, we are using the method means known as equals. So, we are passing the objects C2 as an argument as a parameter to this particular equal methods, and this method is to be called to C1. On the other hand, consider this code and corresponding picture of memory. C1 is equal to new, C1 object is created, C1, C2 have the same, C1, C2 have the same reference. Here you can see that C1 object is to be created and allocated in a main memory, and this particular C1 reference is to be located to C2. So, here you can see that C1 and C2 have the same reference because C1 and C2 points to the same information, because the reference is to be same. So, you can better understand that if the reference to be same, references are to be same, then 100% the information must be same because the reference are to be same. So, in this picture, you are creating the object C1 and this object is to be assigned to this particular C2, and so both C1 and C2 have the same reference, and in the same reference the information is to be same. Consider this code and the changing picture of the memory, that is line 1 and line 2. C1 here C1 and C2 we are creating the object C1, and in this context C1 have the information, C1 object contain the data, that is A, 2000, Ford and Explorer, and C1, and in another case you can create this again the particular object C1, and you can initialize the particular initialize the data through this particular information. So, you can understand that after line 1 the C1 is to be that, and after executing the line 2 the reference is to be different. As the diagram shows, after line 2 is executed, no variable references to the core object which contains 2000 Ford Explorer. The current is the last is that is C1, means the current information, the object that have the recent object, that is the next line, that is line number 2, that have the reference. What is the reference? Means the reference is B and 2011 Nissan Titan. This particular reference having the information that is here. Recently, this particular information is to be stored in this C1 reference. So, as the diagram shown, after line 2 is executed, no variable refers to the car object which contains 2000 Ford and Explorer, because line number 1 having this particular information, but line number 2 recently having the information 2011 Nissan and Titan. So, Java has a built-in garbage collector. From time to time, Java detects objects and that have been orphans because no reference variables refers to them. In C++, That is the operator delete, that's by which we can deallocate the object from the main memory. But in Java, through the garbage collector, we can delete the particular object automatically from the main memory. The Java has a built-in garbage collector. From time to time, Java detects objects that have been orphans or orphaned because no reference variables refer to them. The garbage collector automatically returns the memory for those objects to the free heap. Thank you, students. This is the content. These are the contents. I think you can better understand the particular topic which is comes under the BMC 202. Thanks.